real simple. Yeah, real simple. Real simple to explain. Real simple to take to the VC community as well. I'm
Oh,
curious as you're talking
indeed.
about. I mean, scientific challenges aside, you alluded to the business challenges, the regulatory challenges
Absolutely.
that the company faced. What did you know going in, based on all your previous experience? What did you know going in about how difficult a wall that was going to be to climb, to go out and say, hey, you've never seen this before, but you ought to give us a whole lot of money so we can keep moving this thing forward. And then go to the
Absolutely.
regulatory authority and say, hey, you've never seen this before, but give us all the green lights, man, because we're doing some special stuff here. What did you know
Yeah.
going in, and then what did you learn as you lived it?
Oh, I knew going in that this was going to be one of the greatest challenges, not only that I had faced, but that anybody had faced in drug device combination development. I'm not aware of anybody who's done a multi-component, four-component large molecule co-formulation of any kind, for any reason. So there was that challenge, and at that time when we started the business, there was no precedent for a co-formulation of any two monoclonal antibody checkpoint inhibitors. Now there is. There's a PD-1 LAG3 co-formulated product that has been FDA approved, so that certainly helps. But back then, no.
Yeah.
So investors looked at this and they said, "You're doing what with what?"
Yeah.
And so we would show them the anecdotal clinical data and say, "Here's the signal that's got us so excited."
Yeah.
And it's not data. It's practice of medicine data, and it's very, very hard to sift through. But look, the complete responses are there, and they've been durable. The pioneer Jason Williams, Dr. Williams, has patients out over a decade, and this has got us really excited. But all of that aside, we know we need to develop in a very rational and well-controlled way a new drug and device, and we know how hard that is. But we've done this before. We've assembled the best team to do this, and we think the juice is worth the squeeze. The investment community was very incredulous. You just have to keep kissing frogs until finally you get lucky. And we ended up funding the company through high net worth individuals, including ourselves, without any classic institutional sponsorship, to get to the data we have today. So it was a unique sort of investment pathway in that we convinced very smart high net worth investors, but they also had the altruistic side of, hey, they've done incredibly well and they wanted to invest in things that could really help people. And this certainly checked those boxes off. And they invested, the institutions or high net worth individuals, it's as much about the jockey as it is the horse. So they invested in the team. And Chuck Link and I, are being serial entrepreneurs, had some credibility, and we surrounded ourselves with an extremely credible world-class team that the investors appreciated. And then we brought in an independent board early on. We call it a public company ready board, to further validate that we weren't crazy. We're trying to keep our feet on the ground. And our lead independent director is Doug Watson, the former CEO of Novartis, and he was the chairman of Dendreon, the first immunotherapy company to get approval in prostate cancer. So an incredibly credible, seasoned big pharma executive that added a tremendous amount of adult in the room supervision, as he always does, in a very kind and gentle way. But when the Oracle speaks, we all stop what we're doing and listen for sure.
Yeah.
We also have Norm Schwartz, the chairman and CEO of Bio-Rad, a very, very large medtech company, who's very passionate about cancer therapy development. A public CEO who took the company his parents founded to over 15 billion in market cap, and it's just a sharp dude. And then Jeff Cleland, a serial entrepreneur in biotech, who is a biomedical engineer, MIT trained, and is on the executive committee of Bio. So he brought just a wealth of entrepreneurial experience to the board, and then a physician by the name of Joe Maroon, who's really a legend in big pharma. He's been on many big pharma boards, but also he was the former chair of neurosurgery at UPMC and trained most of the great neurosurgeons in the world. He's up there in age, but looks like a young man and acts like a young man, and has incredible DNA. He's also the team doctor for the Steelers, and super passionate about cancers and including the potential for this to ultimately go into GBMs and other brain malignancies. So we have a really crack board, and that helped with the investors a lot. We're right in the middle, actually, of doing a crossover Series A, so which will be institutional and will set us up for an IPO once the market for IPOs reappears, which sooner or later it always does. So
Yeah.
we're ready to go. We're audited. We're all that stuff. But there was nothing easy about this project. That's for sure. Funding was tough. The scientific community was incredulous. The data looked too good to be true, which is an irony. When your data is good, people challenge it. When it's too good, they're really challenge it. Like,
Sure.
How could this possibly be? Yeah. And I had the same reaction when I first saw it. So
I was
get
gonna say you as you as recruited CEO had the same reaction. Now you're you get your mind wrapped around it. You're sold on it. You decide you're going to invest in it and build a company around it. You've got to face some of that same sort of incredulous reaction from the people who you want on your team. I mean, board aside, when it came time to build the Syncromune team and put a staff together, how did you go about doing that? Given the fact that you've got to have obviously biologics expertise, device, drug delivery device expertise, and then the combination of those two things, limited pool to fish in, I'm sure.
Indeed.
So how'd you go about getting that team pulled together, and how did you go about overcoming the skepticism that surely, I mean, it's a risk to join any startup. It's a big risk to join this one. Right.
It is. No question. The percent of biotechs that make it is small. The vast majority fail due to this or that. So it's a highly risky game, high risk, high reward game, and folks signing up for that have to be cut from that kind of cloth. Have to have that entrepreneurial attitude and preference that they like the adrenaline, so to speak, of being on the edge, because it is the edge. In reality, we try and mitigate as best we can. Chuck and I founded the company, and we brought our best and brightest from our former lives to the team, and that's incredibly helpful because you already know, they're known entities. You already have the rapport, you have the trust, their strengths, and their developmental needs. So managing them is less of a learning experience and more of a let's just get right to it. And they, Chuck and I are a known entity to them as well. So you can really hit the ground running. They were all very, very busy doing other things. So getting them took some salesmanship for sure. And as entrepreneurship always does. And but we did assemble a really phenomenal team. And the people you look for, I mean, ideally you would assemble a team where everybody has combination product experience. Everybody has both drug and device experience. And the way I try and describe drug device combination product development is a Venn diagram of three circles. And the where they converge, these three circles converge, is the new therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So drug device combination product is really a new therapy. So the three circles are the drug, the device, and the procedure, the all important procedure. Because if the procedure doesn't go well, the drug and the device aren't going to work. If the device doesn't work, the procedure and the drug are irrelevant, et cetera, et cetera. The drug by itself doesn't work. So it's truly a Venn diagram. So every decision the development team has to make has to be in the context of that Venn diagram, in that you can't just do what's best for the drug. It has to be what's best for the drug, but also works for the device and the procedure. You can't do what's just best for the device. It has to work for the drug and the procedure, et cetera, et cetera. Really challenging. So when you build the team, you need expertise in all three of those circles, plus the convergence, the therapy. So how many of those people exist on the planet? Very few.
Yeah.
So a lot of time you end up with people who are expertise in the drug, but really have very limited, if any, experience in the other two circles. So you have to do a lot of education, and vice versa for the device procedure team. Most device people have procedural experience because of the nature of devices. Very few drug people have procedural experience because of the nature of drug delivery. So having spent decades in combination product company leadership, I have a canned presentation, educational presentation, that I give to the team early on that explains how it all comes together and why drug people are what and how they are, and why device people are what and how they are. So to distill it all down, the Venn diagram, and then we go into, well, what's the average very successful drug person? What's their DNA like? Well, they have a lot of degrees. They've got, an MD, PhD, MOUSC. They've got lots of letters after their name, and there's a reason for that. The reason is what's most important in drug development by far is the quality of decision making, because it's not an iterative process. Iteration is too expensive. Mm-hmm. So you really need people who are incredibly well versed in analyzing complex data and distilling it all down to a decision that at least has a good shot of not crashing and burning. Yeah. But again, most biotech companies fail because the hypothesis failed. And that's with brilliant minds that have MD, PhD, MOUSC all over it, making phenomenally good decisions that turned out to not be correct. So tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars go down the drain because your hypothesis didn't work, and you can't iterate. Now we look at the device world. In the device world, it's not about the quality of decision making, it's about the speed of decision making, because it's all about iteration, because iteration is cheap. It's way cheaper than time. So fail fast, learn, fail fast, keep going. And that is the antithesis of a PhD or an MD or an MD PhD thought pattern. Yeah. It's so when you put these very, very, and if you look at the degrees in the device world, it's typically not a lot of, not as many for sure, advanced degrees, because it's more about do, make those, a lot of engineers, a lot of let's do quick experiments and iterate. Yeah. So when you put these very disparate thought patterns together into an organization that has to seamlessly work together in this Venn diagram, it's oil and water. Unless you educate them right away that there's a reason why your colleague across the Venn diagram doesn't think like you do. Yeah. So once the if left to themselves, if the drug people would look at the device people and say, you guys are just frenetic. You just run around with no data, just doing crazy stuff, throwing it against the wall, see if it sticks, and then move on. You give me heart palpitations just watching you do your thing. You talk to the device people about the drug people, and they say, you guys are like park statues. I'm surprised pigeons aren't landing on your shoulder. I don't ever see you move. You're just sitting there thinking all the time and not doing anything. But once you educate them that there's a reason for that thinking, because if you took a device mentality and put it in pharmaceutical development or biotech development, you would crash and burn really fast because you can't iterate. It's it's tens of millions of dollars every time you change anything. You've got to be right. So and if you take a drug person and put them in the device world, people will lap the field with them because they're not making decisions fast enough. They're not iterating. They're making really high quality, too slow decisions. So there's method to both that is absolutely valid, and respecting that difference is the lesson of the plan. Is that respect your colleague, that they need to think like that, and to support them in that need to think that way. You don't think that way if you're in the device world looking at the drug world. You don't think that way if you're in the drug world looking at device. But understand it's a thing that needs to be, and it isn't transferable. And it works. They're all smart people. They go, wow, I never thought about that, but that makes sense. And okay, I'll stop bugging them. The vice folks will stop bugging the drug people about getting, why aren't you guys done?